You are now watching Zach Lesage PTCG. Let's get it. Yo, what's poppin' YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be covering over the top 5 best decks that are budgets. So if you're balling on a budget, you stumbled across the correct video. So hopefully you're able to utilize these decks. Hopefully you're able to scrounge up enough Battle Styles packs to trade for whatever remaining cards you need. And I mean, if you're looking for any of those Battle Styles packs, you could totally go check out the list below, see what you're missing, and go to PTCGO plug in code ZLesage5 to save 5% on your next order of codes. Whether you're building these decks, anything else, totally save those 5% because if you're balling on a budget, let's give you a little bit of a coupon, right? That being said, I think there's a lot of really great decks on this video. Some of them are even competitive enough to where they can make our top 10 list, or maybe they should have made the top 10 list. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the video, but these are really aimed towards players who are either new at the game, who are balling on a budget, people that would like to play some offbeat decks, single prize card decks. You name it, it's probably going to be in this video. Let me know what you think about the decks that I have in these videos. Some of them I featured on my channel already. Some of them I plan on featuring on my channel. Let me know what's all good. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel right now. It's totally free. Love to have you there and watch some of our future videos. Been grinding out some content and we're currently on our way to get to 3,000 subscribers. Anyways, let's jump into our number 5 inclusion. So hopping into number 5, we're going to look at Primeape with Houndoom. So this is a deck that, I mean, a lot of players thought of when we first saw the set list, but my list is currently based off of Zapdos TCGs that I saw on their YouTube channel. So if you haven't got a chance already, check out their channel. So what exactly does this Primeape deck do? Well, you have access to Steamin' Mad Strike. So 50 damage times for each of your bench Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. How do you get damage counters on your Pokemon, of course? Well, Spiritomb's a great bench setter that you can use its Building Spite ability to add damage counters. You can also use Houndoom to put damage counters when you try to attach a single strike energy with its ability. So between attaching extra energy with Spiritomb, or attaching extra energy with Houndoom, doing extra damage with Spiritomb, you build up a bench, and then the Jinx can kind of move things around as necessary. So that's really how this deck's going to work. Beyond that, it utilizes a new Bruno engine that's going to work well for single prize card attacking Pokemon, and it should be pretty consistent between Level Ball, Research, Bruno, Marnie. I mean, the deck only runs 8 energies, but it's one of those things where what else are you really going to try to do? So the goal here is to get Spiritomb on your bench, put some damage counters on it, get a Primeape built up, attach energies to it with Houndoom, move those damage counters that you had to place with the Houndoom's ability, because Single Strike Roar reads once during a turn, when you may search your deck for a single strike energy card and attach to one of your single strike Pokemon, you may shuffle your deck. If you do, if you attach an energy to a Pokemon in this way, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So you can use Jinx's ability of Ominous Posture, so you can move that damage counter from anywhere on your board, but preferably the Pokemon that you want to have from the active to the bench, just so you can do more damage to your opponent's Pokemon. That means that Steamin' Mad Strike with 5 Pokemon on the bench can be hitting for 250 damage. Now that's just 250 damage baseless, that's not including single strike energies inclusion. So with a couple single strike energies, you could be doing 290 damage for 2 energies with a single prize card attack. That's enough for you to knock out popular Pokemon in the format such as ADP, Reshiram and Charizard-GX, and of course there are a lot of popular Pokemon that are weak to those types of things. So it's one of those things where I think when you're playing against Pikarom, or if you're playing against Eternatus or anything like that, it's definitely one of the things where you're able to just like beat them and have a really good opportunity in order to win. So Primeape, it's well positioned kind of. The one thing that you are going to struggle with this deck, it is a combo deck, so you're going to need to get the Houndooms out in order to accelerate energy, because Primeape does not take twin energy. It requires two attachments, and since we only play Aurora and single strike energy, and that's the best way to run this deck, you do have to attach one to the Primeape for your turn, and you have to get one from Houndoom, and you're gonna have to have a Pokemon like a bench filled with damage, so it can lead to some issues, and that's why this deck is number 5 and not placed a little bit higher. With a few tricks coming out in the next few sets, this deck might even make our top 10 competitive list, but right now I think it can hang with the best. It has a few screws loose, but it's a great deck choice for a lot of players right now. So moving on to our number 4 inclusion, we have Spiritomb. Now, Spiritomb's a deck that it's not shy to success at all. Spiritomb is one of those types of decks where we even featured in our last deck, the Primeape deck. Spiritomb is just a really good budget card. I mean, nowadays it's becoming a little bit more pricier because it is an older set, but it is only about 4 packs each, and I mean, that's not too bad considering you could grind on the ladder for a little bit and get some of those free packs. So what does this deck do? Well, you have the Building Spite ability, which once during your turn you may get 1 damage counter on this Pokemon. That means that you could build up Anguish Cry, because Anguish Cry does more damage for each damage counter you have on this Pokemon. So maybe you're like, okay, Zach, that's really cool, but then I'll have a Pokemon with 10 HP left that I'm going to be able to hit for 160 damage. That's 5 damage counters, 50 times 3, and then, or 5 times 3, 30, and then 10 plus 10 damage, 160. So, cool. 160, I have 10 HP left. I'm probably going to get destroyed by Galarian Zigzagoon. What's up? How do we make this work? Well, with Cape of Toughness means that you can have up to 110 HP. That means that you are able to do up to 310 damage. And you also have Spike Myth in the deck, which means that you can add more damage counters to yourself. And you can continuously switch Scoop Up Net, Escape Rope your way into doing more damage, Bird Keeper as well. And this deck just builds on a lot of damage and attacks for a single prize card over and over again. So overall, this deck is just trying to hit for a lot of damage for a single energy and use Anguish Cry over and over again and hopefully overwhelm your opponent with enough stuff going on with it. Now, where this deck becomes fragile is you lose to other single prize card attacking decks sometimes because they could just hit you for a minimal attack and knock you out. This deck would do very well against VMAX decks that don't necessarily have a great way to spread damage counters, but I could totally imagine that something like Eternatus can get a few knockouts here and there with Yveltal or their own Spiritombs or their Galarian Zigzagoons. So this deck's interestingly placed. I mean, I do like that there's Bruno in the deck. I added that in myself. I think that Bruno is very good in a single prize card setting. I like that the deck has the Jirachi with Stellar Wish. So since it does play all the Scoop Up Nets, it does play the Switch, the Escape Ropes, all those things. You can continuously grab cards back and back and back with Stellar Wish, grabbing things out of your deck to make your deck a little bit more consistent, and consistency is key when it comes to building a deck like this. Now, when it comes to a budget deck, you might be like, okay, Zach, there's a Crobat in here, there's a Dedenne, there's an Oricorio, there's 4 Spiritombs. Honestly, a deck that's going to cost you less than 50 packs online to trade for is going to be pretty good, and I don't think this deck is necessarily going to cost too much more than that, but feel free to fact check me and go to PTCGO prices, see exactly, you could import this exact deck list in there and see what the going rate for is on any given day. I don't think it's going to be too much, and if you already have some of these cards, or if you picked up one of those League Battle decks that features the Jirachis or something like that, it's going to be a little bit easier to come forward with. So I think Spiritomb is pretty cool, being able to hit for a lot of damage for a single energy, and it's a really cool way to play the game. It's well positioned in some ways. In other ways, the deck's fragile, of course, because you're adding damage counters to your Pokemon. We'll have to see how this deck grows. I think it does have an opportunity to where it could make our top 10 competitive list for next month. So we'll see how it plays out. And if you like this deck, be sure to try to play the game on the Limitless to see exactly how it goes. Let's jump into our number 3 inclusion. So moving on to our next deck list, and this might be one that's shocking to you. You might be like, yo, Zach, you're absolutely going bonkers here. Why is Lapras on your best budget decks list for the month of April? And you might be like, okay, yeah, whatever. It's a VMAX Pokemon, Zach. It shouldn't be on this list. Well, VMAX Pokemon don't necessarily have to cost a whole bunch. And with the recent release of Lapras VMAX in our Shining Faith set, it's really not that expensive right now. And I highly encourage you to pick these cards up if you haven't already. They seem like they're going to be good post-rotation. They seem like they're going to be good in the upcoming months, just because Fire's been doing so well, especially coming off of the heels of Welder. So Lapras VMAX, not too expensive to pick up. I mean, sure, you got to get the Dedennes and the Crobat, but if you have 2 Dedennes, 2 Crobats, and an Eldegoss, you're pretty much good to build pretty much any single deck. So how does this deck work? Well, you lay it on a basis of Frostmoth. Frostmoth's ability of Ice Dance reads, as often as you like during your turn, you may attach a Water Energy card from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. That's going to allow us to power up Lapras VMAX for its G-Max Pump attack, doing 90 plus 30 for each Water Energy attached to this Pokemon. So you scale that as much as you need to do with the 12 energies available. So if you need to knock out something as big as an Eternatus VMAX, you attach a lot of energies. If you don't need to attach a lot of energies, don't attach a lot of energies. So beyond the consistent base of like 4 Capacious Buckets, training Quartz to get the energies, like a lot of those cards are have a synergistic approach. The really big thing is that Caropon, the person who played this deck to a top 8 at the recent Chill TCG event, they kind of were like, okay, yeah, Level Ball seems very good in this deck. So that's what we added in because it does allow you to get both out Snom and Frostmoth. and of course Mew, which is very important for Rapid Strike Urshifu matchups. And you might be like, okay, Zach, what's that other Lapras doing on in your deck? I've never really seen anyone else play that. They usually play the Keldeo-GX. Well, the Keldeo-GX seems like it's some kind of out against the matchups that play like Decidueye, or matchups that play something like Altaria. Well, I think that Lapras with Aqua Wash, if you got 4 energies on there, you could rip your opponent's energies back into their hands. So especially in the Decidueye matchup, the more popular of all those, I think there's a very good chance that you could just rip their energies back to their hand over and over again, and maybe have a chance at winning. I don't think a Keldeo-GX, especially with it being weak to grass, is enough to get through it. So overall, this deck is really just focusing on building up a fat Lapras to slap your opponent around with G-Max Pump. That's as simple as it is. It's a very simple strategy. Would be a great way to introduce someone to the game. Just building up like energies, extra energies, breaking the fundamental rule of 1 energy per turn with the Frostmoth, building up all those energies and attack. Of course, you could bring up your opponent's Pokemon with Boss's Orders, or you could do things like, I mean, honestly, you're either going Boss Orders, not attacking, or attacking. There's only really 3 modes of playing, and it's either you're attacking, you're not attacking, and you're choosing who you want to attack with Boss Orders. This deck, very simple to play. Make sure that you manage your energies and everything else appropriately, but it's Lapras is pretty budgets itself, and if you have Crobats and you have Dedennes, should be really good. So jumping into our silver medalist spot at number 2, we got Mad Party. So what's Mad Party doing? You might be like, yo, Zach, I think you featured this deck on your channel recently. You said it was pretty good. And I mean, yeah, this deck's pretty good because it is Psychic type, especially if you're attacking with the Poltegeist. Of course, you can't attack with the Dedenne or Galarian Mr. Rhyme with this deck. But with all the recent Pokemon that are seeing a lot of success being weak to Psychic, that's Mewtwo and Mew GX, Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, and Single Strike Urshifu VMAX, Poltegeist is going to be hit for some doubly damage, doing a lot of damage in the process. So how does this deck work? Well, you want to be able to get as many Mad Party Pokemon in your discard pile. That is Bunnelby, Dedenne, Galarian Mr. Rhyme, and Poltegeist. The deck does 20 times for each energy or each Mad Party Pokemon that you have in your discard pile, so that you can scale it accordingly to how much damage you need to do throughout the rest of the game. In order to have this going on, it does cost multiple energies, but that's why we use Poltegeist or Bunnelby. So we have the twin energies or the triple acceleration energies in order to hit hard. So this is a deck that I did feature on my top 10 list last month. I think it's fallen a little bit. Even though it's moved up, there's a lot more decks that are doing well right now. So this is a deck that is very capable of making a top 10 competitive deck. It most recently made top 4 at the Chill TCG number 25 Win a Tropical Beach, and we're still basing it off the list that Daniel Altavilla came up with a few months ago. Really, the cards that got added into this deck are going to be Escape Rope. So Escape Rope is just going to allow you to move some things around here or there, and that's going to maybe force your opponent in a position where you can get Mad Party for some prize cards really early on. The other card that I added in, I think having access to a single copy of Bruno could be a great way to get some things going on in our game. So Bruno allowing you to shuffle all your Mad Party Pokemon or all these things back into your deck, just so you don't have to necessarily discard them, holding on to some resources, is a welcomed addition beyond just going Professor's Research, Professor's Research, Professor's Research. We already play a Guru in the deck to try to save some of the resources that we have, just by using its ability, Primeape Wisdom, to put cards back on top of the deck. That means that we don't necessarily have to pitch handfuls that sometimes we will run into of like 3 triple acceleration energies or something like that. Bruno giving you an option if one of your Pokemon are knocked out, you can shuffle and draw up into 7 cards, so maybe you don't necessarily want to pitch things out, or maybe you have some valuable resources in your hands. You could always get it back with Palpad if you really need to, so I really like Bruno for a lot of these single prize card decks. Beyond that, there's really nothing crazy going on here. I recently covered it on the channel, so this deck's going to be very good. Just hit hard with Mad Party, make sure that you're being cautious of the resources that you're using, and avoid decking out, because this deck does play quite a few Dedenne-GX, Professor's Research, and discarding cards. Level Ball, I guess, is also another card. I'm just looking at it now. I'm so used to Level Ball because I'm an old school player, and we've had Level Ball before. Level Ball is great for this deck because you can search out all those Bunnelbys, Dedennes, Mew, Sinistee, Poltegeist, all those types of Pokemon immediately with no drawback, making this deck a little bit more consistent than it was before. However, this deck does still suffer from some inconsistency issues, and that's probably the reason why it's placed so lowly. You're really only running a deck off of 5 supporter cards that can draw cards. Of course, you need the other things like Giovanni's Exile to clear GX and V Pokemon from your bench, as long as they don't have damage counters. But, I mean, this deck seems strong enough, and I mean, if you have a lot of fun playing Pokemon, or if you're not necessarily worried about results all the time, or if you think that you could just, like, hit a lot of the popular matchups, or if it's a great meta call, Mad Party might be the deck for you. Alright, we made it this far. What's going to be our number 1 deck? Let's see exactly what happens right now. So here we are, jumping into our number 1 deck, and this is a deck that we saw Gamer Allo win the Chill TCG win a Beach, and I mean, they also won the GG Tour with a very similar deck. This is a deck, personally, that I took off my top 10 deck list, because no one was talking about it, no one was really playing it, and I was thinking that Victini would spiritually take this deck's spot, and that other Welder decks would be a little bit more stable than this one. Apparently, I was wrong, and that's completely fine. This deck is likely within our top 10 competitive decks, but more or less, it's just Welder-based cards are very good right now, so it's really hard to, if I want to have 3, 4, 5 Welder-type decks, because the format does change rapidly on a daily basis, especially when we're running like 5 to 6 online tournaments on the Play Limitless website. So what does this deck entirely do? Well, this deck works off of Welder, the supporter card, and that allows us to power up Pokemon, attach up to 2 Fire Energy cards from your hand to one of your Pokemon. If you do, draw 3 cards. So that's a great way to accelerate energies. But how do you decide which Pokemon you want to power up? Well, we have 3 main schools of attackers, and we got the Cramorant Vs, and that's really good if we need to spit shot something on the bench. So between knocking out a Dedenne-GX or a Crobat V, you could use knock out a Crobat V with Galarian Zigzagoon and a couple Scoop Up Nets, so that you could use those Headbutt Tantrum damage counter pings on your opponent's Pokemon. You got Blacephalon, which is a great way to knock out a large HP to Pokemon out of nowhere with Fireball Circus. And you got Reshiram and Charizard-GX, which is the most stable attacker out of all of them, but it comes at the cost of the GX attack if you want to go for that turn 1 200, and then going Flare Strike, and really, if they get to that point where Outrage, you probably already won the game already. So just using a strong suite of Fire-type attackers, a mix between 3 prizers, 2 prizers, and 1 prizers, allowing you to really pick your poison on how you really want to attack your opponent. This deck is interesting. Like, Reshiram and Charizard-GX is not normally a budget card, but it did get printed in a League Battle deck. It was recently our ladder rewards for this past month. I mean, Dedenne-GX and Crobat are not the hardest cards to come beyond. They're like 5-6 Battle Styles packs each, which truly makes this deck a little bit more of a budget deck. So overall, you're just really weldering up the correct Pokemon, going through using Jirachi Stellar Wish with the Scoop of Net engine in order to draw into extra cards that you need, whether it's Fire Crystals for that Fireball Circus, or you need a Welder for your Reshiram and Charizard-GX. Jirachi's the kind of glue that kind of makes this deck work together. Overall, I think this deck is quite fitting of the number 1 budget decks, and it does offer things. One thing that I do like about this deck is, let's say if you're like, yo Zach, I only have 1 Cramorant V, or I only have 1 Reshiram and Charizard-GX, what can I replace it with? Well, you could actually replace it with a lot of things. You could even add like a 1/1 Victini VMAX into this deck. You could add in a double. This deck very functions like a Welder toolbox type of deck. So if you're lacking a little bit on the card selection, you definitely add in some other cards that would be suitable favorites. I mean, this is my current build for the deck, and it's exact list that Gamer Allo decided to play. I don't necessarily see any changes I'd want to make to that deck. I think his list was quite good, but we'll have to see exactly how the metagame progresses. As I said, I think this deck is probably going to be our number 1 budget deck until the deck probably rotates out, and I wouldn't be surprised if I did an updated tier list or something like that that included this a lot higher up now that the metagame's starting to form. So really one of those things where early findings can change the dependence of decks, but shout out to Gamer Allo for winning the Chill TCG event. This deck is absolutely a hit, and I think it's going to see a lot of success. Remember to pack those Feenies lately, because Blacephalon's going to be soaring in numbers. And there we have it, peeps. That's what we got for our top 5 decks this time. There was a couple other decks that I wanted to include on here. Like, I had Salazzle Weepinbell I thought was really cool. I think that there's other things in here like the Mienshao deck that could be added on, the Cherrim Tapu Bulu deck. But overall, I thought that these were a good mix between competitive, fun, budget decks that really seem to work for the metagame. Of course, there's like Decidueye decks that are single prize card decks that are absolutely crushing it right now, but those decks do contain roses, and I find that roses at like 7 packs each or to 12 packs each go for quite a bit, and I don't necessarily want to put that burden on you, especially if you are balling on a budget. That being said, I really hope that you enjoy watching this video, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, totally appreciate it, and give this video a like, thumbs up while you're at it. That being said, I gotta go edit this video, and my lovely girlfriend brought me some lunch, so I'm about to eat some of that. That being said, have yourself a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching this video. Peace out. I want to give an amazing shout out to all of our channel members so far. We got 22 of y'all, and it's the efforts and everything from everyone is absolutely outstanding. I totally appreciate everyone who's gone more than out of their way beyond just watching my videos and have become channel members, tossing me a couple coins. I'm appreciating it so much. For those of you who might be wondering what is channel members, who are they? Who are these peeps? Well, if you click join here on desktop, you can see what my offerings are. We do have a Discord server. There are special roles for our channel members. You get access to all of my personal deck lists. I mean, I definitely have like 20, 30 plus different decks for different archetypes in there. So check that out if you are a channel member for the deck list package. There is monthly group coaching for those who choose our coach package. And I mean, I toss as many goodies as I possibly can to my peeps. So I do want to give a huge shout out to Ali Plays Pokemon, Xenon TCG, Smart TCG, Slavin Tizik, Joshua Sutherland, Justin C, The Home Junkie, Samuel Stapowski, Yoshi3483, Anonymous, Jake R, It's Lido26, Jake Mall, Tilted AF, Patrick Colding, Hardwood, Joshua Ezel, Jonathan Sampson, The Encrypted TCG, A Fairy, Daniel Bertrand, and Last Protect. Totally appreciate everyone who's on this list, and I really look forward to creating more content. You are really fueling my passion. If you are not in a financial position to become a channel member, I totally appreciate everyone who's watching my videos. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to those who do, and thank you so much to everyone who for supporting my channel, either financially or just giving me a like, watch, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks so much, peeps. Really appreciate it. So much for watching and supporting the channel. If you haven't already, it'd mean the world to me if you could subscribe to help support me as a content creator. Thanks again, and have yourself a great one.